Want to welcome you guys back to another episode of Pistons Talk Podcast presented by FanDuel. Got to end this week off with another Detroit Pistons victory. Love to do it. Love to see it. 5 podcasts this week by your boy. I've been busy, but let's get into these post-game notes. Hell of a game. History making. We'll get into it. So to start this game, the Pistons actually got a warning for delay of game, and JB Bickerstaff got a technical foul 1 second into the game. Pretty sure that's a record. Maybe it's not, but I've never seen a coach get a technical foul 1 second into a basketball game, and he did that. Nets had a little bit more energy to start this first quarter. They got up to a 5-point lead. JB Bickerstaff eventually took a timeout. Didn't really like the energy early on in the first quarter. And the Pistons' second unit, once they came in, started to push the pace and transition, brought the energy. The Pistons got out to a pretty good lead towards the end of the quarter. And there was just balanced scoring in this first quarter from the starters to the bench unit. And they counted Danis Jenkins' buzzer beater. So it was 33-24. I wasn't really sure if they were going to count it or not. I know once they came back after the intermission, going into the second, they said that they counted it. To start the second quarter, we had a lot of turnovers and the energy was still kind of low. But, once they did take a early timeout again in the quarter, Cade just decided, I'm going to take over. Just the playmaking, the excellent assists, some of the football passes type of assists. He had one to Javonte Green where he just threw that thing 3/4 of the court, found him in the corner from three. There was one to Jalen Duren. Cade Cunningham just had a masterful game. He looked excellent. He had a double-double by the second quarter at 13 points and over 10 assists. And the Pistons just completely dominated the second quarter. They ended it on a 23-8 run, and they were up 67-44. We had another buzzer beater at the end of this quarter. Sar Thompson strips the ball, puts up a prayer at halftime, makes a three, goes off glass. Love to see it. Again, 67-44 was the score going into halftime. And I think what was probably said in the locker room after 24 minutes of play, it's like, let's put these guys away. They're rebuilding, one of the worst teams in the Eastern Conference, and that's exactly what the Detroit Pistons did. The third quarter has been a quarter where the Pistons don't usually come out as aggressive as you'd like to see, but that wasn't the case. They opened up on like a 15-0 run, and it took the Nets over 6 minutes to score a basket in this third quarter. The Pistons opened up the lead to 40+ in the third, and the bench unit came in and just closed it. They had a 100-62 score after 3 quarters of play. And the reserves just kind of closed out this game. You got to see Danis Jenkins, Marcus Sasser, Ron Holland, Jaden Ivey, Paul Reed. Love to see it. It's kind of a bummer, though, that players like Bobby Klitman and Chaz Lanier weren't available because they got assigned to the Motor City Cruise for a G League game that they had tonight. But this was a 130-77 final score, 53-point victory, largest in Detroit Pistons franchise history. That was just a belt-to-ass game. I'm glad that the Pistons took care of business. I'm glad that they didn't take the Nets lightly. I feel like they've done a really good job this year of just taking everyone seriously. They're not really taking anyone for granted this year, and they get their, is that the 36th win of the season? I think so, yeah. 36 wins now for the Detroit Pistons. The end of the week, 3-1 after playing 4 games this week. They have a lighter week next week. They only play 3 times. They got the Nuggets on the 3rd, and then you have a back-to-back with the Washington Wizards and the New York Knicks on Thursday, Friday. But should be a very interesting week. I think a lot of you guys are probably going to be, getting up for that Knicks game for sure. Get to see them again. That'll be an Amazon Prime game for you guys that are wondering. Will not be on FanDuel. And the Nuggets game will be on FanDuel. Jokic is back. get to see them again. We just saw them recently. Should be a really good game on Tuesday as well. I want to get into the box score and kind of go over that. And then we'll open up the show to any comments and questions, overall thoughts with this belt to ass victory for the Pistons tonight. Again, they won 130-77. The FanDuel odds going into this game was the Pistons were a 14-point favorite. I think I probably would have had it a little bit higher, but hey, man, 14 points is I probably would have taken that overall day if I was trying to just look at this game tonight. But let's get into the box score. Tobias only played 20 minutes. 11 points, 2 out of 4 from the field, 1 for 2 from 3. Perfect from the free throw line again, 6 for 6. Last game he was 9 for 9, so he hasn't not missed a free throw in the past 2 games. He's been really aggressive of putting the ball on the floor and getting to the free throw line. Also had 2 rebounds and 3 assists and 1 steal. These plus minuses are just gaudy. Plus 33 in the plus minus. Good Lord. Duncan Robinson in 22 minutes had 8 points. He was 3 out of 8 from the field, 2 for 5 from 3. 3 rebounds, 1 assist, 1 steal, plus 41 in the plus minus. Jalen Duren, shout out to Jalen Duren, by the way, got named as an all-star reserve, 24 minutes, 21 points, 8 out of 12 from the field, 5 out of 6 from the free throw line, 10 rebounds, 3 assists, 2 steals, plus 42 in the plus minus. Again, these plus minuses are just off the chain. Cade Cunningham, 26 minutes, had 18 points, 7 out of 11 from the field, 1 for 4 from 3, 3 out of 7 for the free throw line, 4 rebounds, 12 assists, 2 turnovers, 4 steals, 3 blocks, 7 stocks by Cade. Good Lord. Plus 34 in the plus minus. Star Thompson, 25 minutes, 9 points, 4 out of 5 from the field. Hit that half-court buzzer beater for 3, where he was perfect, 1 for 1, 8 rebounds, 3 assists, 3 steals, 2 blocks, plus 43. Star had 5 stocks. That's insane. But just looking at the plus minus with the starters, excellent. And then you can just kind of look at the bench unit, starting with Paul Reed. He had 8 minutes in this one. He scored 4 points, also grabbed 4 rebounds, 1 assist. Isaiah Stewart in 21 minutes had 9 points, 1 rebound, 1 assist, 1 block. Shot 3 out of 6 from the field, 3 for 4 from the free throw line. Missed the 1 3-point attempt that he did take in the second half. Ron Holland had 20 minutes in this one, 6 points, 3 out of 9 from the field, 0 for 5 from 3, 2 rebounds, 2 assists, 2 turnovers, 2 steals. He was a plus 16 in the plus minus. Javonte Green in 19 minutes had 8 points. He was perfect from the field, where he attempted 3 shots, 2 for 2 from 3, 3 rebounds, 1 assist, 1 turnover, plus 17 in the plus minus. Marcus Sasser made the most out of his 15 minutes, scored 10 points, 4 out of 6 from the field, 2 for 4 from 3, 4 assists, 3 steals. He was a plus 8. Jaden Ivey in 21 minutes had 8 points, shot 3 out of 9 from the field, 2 for 6 from 3, 2 rebounds, 1 assist. He was a plus 8 in the plus minus. And Danish Jenkins had 18 points. Had a really good game again. 6 out of 9 from the field, 1 for 2 from 3, 5 out of 6 from the free throw line, 4 rebounds, 1 assist, 1 steal, plus 6. Just complete domination. I mean, you just kind of look at these box scores. You look at the plus minus. When you're winning by 53, your plus minus is probably just going to be through the damn roof. Look at the team stats. Just kind of seeing like how this game just went completely out of control. The Pistons held Brooklyn to 33% shooting. The defense was just all over the place. Pistons shot 56% respectively. Brooklyn shot 7 out of 31 from 3, 23%. Pistons shot 12 out of 32 from 3, 38%. The free throws, Brooklyn got to the free throw line 22 out of 27 attempts. They shot 81%. Pistons shot 76%, where they made 22 out of 29 attempts. The rebound battle was even, 43 each for both sides. The Pistons had 33 assists. They were really moving the ball. 17 steals, man. Like I felt like in the second half, especially in the third quarter, like every possession was a steal. I didn't know they had 17 steals. That's honestly insane looking at it for the first time right now. 6 blocks. Pistons only had 8 turnovers. They forced the Nets over 25 times, and they were able to cash in on 39 points off turnovers, which is just unfair and crazy. 28 fast break points, 70 points in the paint. Good lord, to 30 to Brooklyn. Had a couple of technical fouls. Largest lead for the Pistons tonight was 55. Largest lead for the Nets was 5, and that was actually very early in the game where they led 11-6. Um, just a complete belt to ass game. Complete belt to ass game. If you're a Piston fan, you're probably really excited with just this outcome. But I do want to kind of get into the Q&A and the comments and questions with you guys. But we're going to get into it. So let's get into one of the first questions. Marcus says, what team do you think the Pistons' biggest challenge is in the East? That's a very good question, Marcus. I would say for me, when I'm looking at the top of the East, right now you have New York, you have Boston, you have Cleveland, and you kind of have the lower tier teams like Toronto, Orlando, Atlanta. Um, Charlotte has been heating up more. They might be a play-in team before we know it. But I will say the one team that I would be worried about, and this might get laughed at, but every time we play this team, it's just a situation where, man, it's got some kidney shots. Man, that hurt. Holy crap. I got to drink my water. Um, I look at a team in Orlando that has just given the Pistons some, hard times. I know we beat them really early on in the season, but they have a lot of lengthy defenders. They play very physical. You guys know that firsthand, how physical they play, especially last year. Just the way that, Cole Anthony dove at Jaden Ivey's leg. Obviously, Cole Anthony's not on the Magic anymore, but they still have physical defenders like a Jalen Suggs, Anthony Black. Um, Jonathan Isaac, who doesn't really play a whole lot, but he's a tool. Mo Wagner came back, Franz Wagner, Paulo Banchero. Like they have guys that are just very versatile and tall and lengthy. That's the one team where I think if the Pistons get matched up with them, I know it's going to probably be a 7-game series. Boston also kind of concerns me a little bit. I know we've beaten them a few times this year. I think 3 out of 4 times we've beaten them. The only reason why Boston kind of concerns me is just the 3-point shooting. I feel like if you were in a playoff series with Boston, you're going to have games where Derek White and Peyton Pritchard just go absolutely berserk from 3. We all know Jaylen Brown is one of the best two-way forwards in this game. Obviously, Jason Tatum is not coming back this year, but he's another player in a team in Boston that I would definitely be a little bit concerned about. Cleveland, after the trading deadline, after the trade they made yesterday, with Darius Garland going out, they're getting Dennis Schroeder and Keon Ellis. Obviously, the Lonzo Ball experiment did not work for them whatsoever. I think getting Dennis Schroeder will help them immensely, especially off the bench. Darius Garland is going to come back at some point, but we know what Dennis Schroeder can do. We know what he's capable of. Keon Ellis is a 3-and-D wing. I think the Cavs are a team that worries me a little bit. I think we are capable of beating them, but they have the double bigs and Evan Mobley and Jared Allen and Donovan Mitchell. They're another team that does kind of scare me. I see some people say the 76ers. 76ers are a team that I think should strike some fear into people as well. I'm glad you guys mentioned that. Paul George, though, getting suspended for 25 games for the drug policy. So he'll probably be back like around playoff time. Joel Embiid has probably looked the healthiest he has in quite some time. If Joel Embiid is right and healthy, that's a nightmare. That's a mismatch problem. I feel like we do have centers and bigs that can stay on Joel Embiid. Tyrese Maxey is just electric and score 30 on you in any given night. I like their rookie VJ Edgecombe a ton. They have former Piston Andre Drummond as a backup big, Kelly Oubre. They have a lot of interesting players and pieces that I think if you get matched up with Philly as well in a first round series, that could definitely go 7 games. Whoever we get matched up with in the first round, I think it will be very interesting. Right now, you have like Atlanta, Chicago, and I can't remember. Oh, Miami is kind of like 8, 9, and 10. Charlotte might kind of like bump Chicago out of that 10 seed so they could kind of like play their way into a play-in tournament. I can't wait. I know we just won our 36th game of the season. Trading deadline will be coming up this week on February 5th. I think it's really exciting to talk about not only the NBA playoff matchups, but just this team in general. I mean, especially if you watch the game tonight. I mean, largest victory in franchise history. But I do appreciate the question. Really good question as always. Want to get into Mr. J thinking will just use the trade exception. I can't see Langdon trading any of his guys. Now, I feel like that's kind of been the overall consensus a lot with just when you talk about the Detroit Pistons and talk about how they might look to attack this trading deadline. They have a trade exception that they can use. It's around $14 million. You're able to absorb salary without trading anybody. And I think that's kind of been the message from this front office because they know that they have paydays coming up. And Jalen Duren, who is going to get paid, he's going to get anywhere from $35 to $40 million annually. I think he's deserved it. He bet on himself. He's just been on a tear lately, scoring over 20 points a game over his last 4 or 5 games. He's looked excellent. If he develops any type of mid-range jump shot or a three-point shot, that's a center that I think a lot of us could say, if you get him under contract for around 35 to 40 million, you're happy with that. That's a commitment they have to worry about. They have Asar Thompson that's extension eligible. The year before, it was reported the Pistons are trying to keep their cap flexibility open for these extensions. What I can see the Pistons doing, though, with that trade exception is, especially with the Giannis trade rumors, I think the Pistons could be a facilitator in a sense where if teams need a third or fourth team, or who knows how big this Giannis trade could possibly be if he does get dealt February 5th, the Pistons have that trade exception where they can help other teams absorb salary with their exception. I made a top 5 list yesterday. We went over it on the podcast. Like I talked about a Bobby Portis. I talked about a Kobe White. I talked about a Royce O'Neal. I talked about a couple other players as well. It really depends what happens with these multiple team trades. I think we'll have several, like 3-team trades over the next couple of days, just because there are teams in the East and the West that want to get ready to compete for the playoffs. There could be some teams that are a little bit lower, like around 7 or 8, that want to possibly make a push to make the playoffs. But I think what the Pistons will do with their trade exception, personally, Mr. J, is I think they'll try to be facilitators, and there's an opportunity where they can get a player that they're happy with, they're comfortable with. I think they will do that 100%. I think that's really good analysis by you. I think that's just what's kind of been reported, throughout this trading deadline and this season for the Pistons. There's a reason why the Detroit Pistons did a sign and trade deal with Dennis Schroeder. And Dennis Schroeder is actually now, you can actually trade for him now if you wanted, but I doubt Cleveland deals him. I really doubt that. Another question about the trade exception from Midnight. If we use the trade exception to get a shooter, what 2 spots are we clearing up? Because Jenkins will take one up. That's a great question. So let's say the Pistons do use their trade exception to acquire a shooter, like you're kind of outlining. What happens is they have to get the roster back down to the allotted roster spots. So one player you can look at that they'll 100% cut is Isaac Jones. Isaac Jones right now is not playing with the team. I think he's played 1 minute with the Pistons all season. He's playing in the Motor City Cruise, which makes me believe that I think the Pistons guaranteed him a 2-way spot because Jenkins' 2-way spot is going to be converted to a standard contract, and there'll be an active 2-way spot for him. So Isaac Jones probably does get waived. Who could be the other player? It could be lower bench guys. It could be a Bobby Klintman. It could. Bobby doesn't get a whole lot of time for the Pistons. He was a second round pick by the Pistons a few years ago. Marcus Sasser, I mean, I don't know. I don't know. I feel like Marcus Sasser still has a role on this team, but if I had to guess, it's probably like lower tier guys like a Isaac Jones or a Bobby Klitman. It'll be interesting to see what does happen though, with the trade exception, and stuff like that. I did see someone actually ask a question about Danis, and it is DJ Billy Bob. So he comments, so Danis apparently turned down the league minimum contract, which is smart, but the Pistons better not mess around too much and get him signed. So for people that don't know, it was reported that Danis Jenkins was offered a 2-year minimum contract by the Detroit Pistons, and he decided to turn down the 2-year minimum down. So what is probably going to happen is the Pistons will sign Danis for the remainder of the season. So he'll be under contract from February 6th all the way until the playoffs end. The Pistons will have his restricted free agency rights. So they'll be able to sign him this summer. You probably looking at a deal anywhere from 5 to 10 million to bring back Danis Jenkins as your backup point guard. I think it is smart by not only whoever his agent is and his camp. So you can sign Danis for the remainder of the season and then have conversations this summer if you want to bring him back as a backup point guard. I think that's probably the move that Trajan in the front office wants to do. I can understand why they wanted to give him a 2-year minimum. That would give them all the control. That would give them a backup point guard for the next 2 seasons on a minimum contract. Obviously, Danis knows that he's good. He knows that he can probably get more than a minimum. So he'll sign for the remainder of the season. Then we'll have to wait and see what does happen as we kind of get into the free agency talk and stuff like that. But I appreciate the question, DJ Billy Bob. Ryan has a question, and it's more about Ivy. It says, are we underestimating what we know Ivy can be? Maybe he returns to form next year and can get back up to 30 minutes and be that guy. Thoughts? I think the thing with Ivy where you have to be objective is he's just not the same player as he was last year. And that's to be expected. He's coming off 1, a broken fibula, and then 2, he had to have arthroscopic surgery on his knee, some cleanup surgery because he had a little bit of discomfort. He's been playing off the bench, been a reserve, and anywhere from like some nights like 7 minutes this week to 18 minutes a game. Are we estimating what we know Ivy can be? I don't really think we're underestimating what he can be, Ryan. I think if you add context to like what he's done this year, it's obvious he's not 100%. He's just not. He's not moving the same. The burst isn't there. The shots hit or miss some nights. The defense rotations, when they're strong, it looks great. But oftentimes he looks confused where he needs to be. He doesn't really know if he should be picking up his man or if he should switch or should I go help side. So it's just a thing about him getting more reps, coming back from these injuries. Do I think he can get back to 30 minutes a game next year? I'm not entirely sure. I don't know if he's on this team past February 5th. There could be some teams that might want to take a flyer on Ivy and kind of possibly sign him to a long-term contract. I'm not entirely sure. I don't know. I don't have all the answers. I'm not an insider. I'll just give you guys my opinion. I think if a team offers something significant, the Pistons will definitely be listening. I know it was reported that they're open to listening to offers, but I think it's just a thing right now with him. Obviously, he's not going to get that much for a new contract. He's just not. Just the way he's been playing in his production, it's been very as low as you can go for his production. But I do think I don't really think it would be out of the realm for him to come back and maybe play closer to 20, 25 minutes a game. I don't know if he's a starting shooting guard on this team either. He might be more better suited as a reserve, right? Um, it's just a situation where um, he's just been really up and down this year. It's really hard to kind of gauge like where he's at, not only physically but mentally as well. I'm sure it's a big toll on him having the injuries and then coming off the bench and just trying to play through having a broken leg and then having cleanup surgery and then like he hasn't been as consistent as he was last year. So um, who knows if he's going to be on this team over the next 4 days? We'll have to wait and see. But it's a good question, Ryan. I'm just not sure if he's ever going to get back up to the 30 minutes a game and be the starting shooting guard next to Cade. I just don't know. Pistons should use their exception for Sadiq Bey. I've been seeing this a lot lately. And I'm going to blame Everything King for this because I've gone on my timeline. Shout out to Everything King, by the way. Really good Pistons and Detroit Lions content creator. Definitely go check out his content. But he's been seeing that Sadiq Bey has averaged a lot of points over the past 2 weeks, and he thinks that the Detroit Pistons should try to use their trade exception to bring in Sadiq Bey. I honestly think Sadiq Bey, where he's at, I find it hard to believe that New Orleans would want to deal him, just considering I know that they're bad right now. I know that they're one of the worst teams in the Western Conference. Um, I don't really know if the Pistons are looking at Sadiq Bey as like a target. I have heard some other teams that are interested in Sadiq Bey, but it hasn't been the Pistons. I love Sadiq Bey's time here in Detroit. I really liked his rookie year. My only dislike with how he was used is I always felt that the Pistons tried to play him in positions where he just wasn't successful. Like they tried to make him this 3-level scorer when, his strength was basically catch and shoot. Um, I think what he's doing now, he's developed quite a bit with his time with the Hawks and now with the Pelicans. But talking to some people that cover the Pelicans, they're really high in Sadiq Bey. They really like the duo of him and Herb Jones and Trey Murphy out there. They like him. I think they would have to at least get a first round pick for him, and I don't really think the Pistons are going to give up a first round pick for a player that they traded for James Wiseman. I just don't. I really don't. But I blame Everything King for the Sadiq Bey talk. But shout out to King and Sadiq Bey. It's good to see him doing well. 7 Mile B. So are the Nets leaving Michael Porter Jr. here in Detroit or what? He was actually not on the bench, so I don't even know if he traveled with the team. 7 Mile B. But what I would say with him is I know that Mark Stein reported that the Pistons are considering trading for him. I think a lot of Pistons fans have just looked at like the production that he's had this year, and understandably so. Like he's been the Nets' number one option, really good 3-point shooter. But he did have a family matter to attend to today, so don't know what's going on with him. Hope he's good. Hope his family's good. But Pistons trade for him. I would be shocked, kind of considering everything we've heard and everything that's been reported that they just kind of want to keep this group intact as much as possible. But hey, never say never. You never know. The price might actually go down for him. Maybe they, come off. We want 2 first-round picks. Maybe it's the asking price is lower because they know that they're in a rebuild and they know that they want to kind of go within this youth movement and stay within that, top 5 lottery odds. I see another Ivy comment. And it says, don't understand why people want to get off Ivy. Hasn't cost us any games. The minutes he's playing right now, in my opinion, is not even struggling the other young guard's growth. I think the biggest reason why people want to get off Ivy isn't so much of like what he's doing or not doing. It's more of like he's going to need a new contract. And that's it. Obviously, like the all-time highs this year, like I look back to last month when he was coming off the bench and he was scoring against the Knicks. He had 16 points that game. Like when his 3-point shot is falling this year, it looks great. But when he's not hitting shots, it's very glaring. I think it's just a contract situation with Jaden Ivey. I can just tell he's not 100% right. I think most fans right now, they're very focused on just, I guess, dealing him. We just talked about Sadiq Bey. I remember when fans were on Sadiq Bey's ass. I remember when they were on Marvin Bagley's ass. Like it feels like every year Pistons fans decide to pick on a player to trade, and this year it's Jaden Ivey. I don't know what his long-term future is with Detroit. If it's more of a six-man role, I'm 100% okay with that. If he comes back to form, being the two guard on this team, hey, like I'll give him some grace period. But I think a lot of people are just ready to move on from him because they're kind of worried about what a contract could be for him. The people that want to trade him want to get somewhat of value while he's still on his rookie contract, but I don't really think he has too much value across the league at all, unless it's just a reclamation project. And the king of reclamation projects is New Orleans, and that's Troy Weaver. Does Troy Weaver want to kind of have a reclamation project with Jaden Ivey, pairing him next to Jeremiah Fears in the backcourt? I'm not really sure. I'm a really big Ivy fan, by the way. You guys probably don't think I am. Like really big on Ivy, but I can just tell the guy's not right. I can just tell that his knee is bothering him from the arthroscopic surgery. If you guys look, he's got the same leg sleeve as Blake Griffin. Now, obviously, Blake Griffin had arthroscopic surgery. He had way more miles on his body than Jaden Ivey does, but they have the same leg sleeve on. It might take Ivy a good season just to get in the back of swing of things, working out in the offseason, getting back comfortable. But I don't know. I really don't know what this organization is going to do with him long term. If he's on this team past the trading deadline, it wouldn't surprise me. Wouldn't surprise me, kind of given just what Trajan has kind of preached with patience and stuff like that. But it'll be interesting to see what does happen. But I do want to kind of wrap up this podcast. We'll be seeing you guys 3 times next week. Got the Nuggets post-game show, got the Wizards and the Knicks post-game show, and then next Sunday we'll be joined by Zarek, friend of the podcast, credential NBA media member as well, covers the Pistons. So we'll be joined by Zarek, kind of recapping the trading deadline on what trades the Pistons made and what trades maybe they didn't make. But hope you guys are having a great rest of your weekend and enjoy this 53-point victory tonight. Again, Pistons win this one 130-77. Hope you guys are staying safe, staying warm, and as always, go Pistons. Peace.